in the sacred halls of Self-Realization Fellowship, where Paramahansa Yogananda's teachings continue to illuminate the path of spiritual seekers worldwide, one of the most profound and paradoxical concepts he shared concerns the nature of love itself. Among his many revolutionary insights into human relationships, perhaps none challenges conventional thinking more deeply than his teaching that detachment represents the highest form of love, particularly within the sacred bond between parent and child. This teaching strikes at the very heart of what most people consider natural and necessary in parenting. The protective instinct, the fierce attachment, the overwhelming desire to shield our children from all harm, these seem not only normal but essential to good parenting. Yet Yogananda, drawing from the deepest wells of ancient wisdom and his own profound realization, offered a radically different perspective that transforms our understanding of what it means to truly love our children. The great Guru's approach to this subject was never theoretical. Having observed countless families throughout his decades of teaching in both India and America, he witnessed firsthand how attachment, though born of love, often becomes the very force that limits both parent and child. He saw how parents, in their desperate attempts to protect and control their children's lives, inadvertently created the conditions for suffering, dependency, and spiritual stagnation. When Yogananda spoke of detachment in parenting, he was not advocating for coldness, indifference, or abandonment of responsibility. Rather, he was pointing toward a love so pure and expansive that it transcends the narrow confines of possessiveness and fear. This detached love recognizes the child as an eternal soul temporarily entrusted to the parent's care, rather than as a possession to be controlled or an extension of the parent's ego to be molded according to personal desires and expectations. The foundation of this teaching rests upon the fundamental spiritual truth that every soul is on its own unique journey toward God realization. Children, regardless of their age, are ancient souls who have chosen their particular circumstances, including their parents, as part of their spiritual curriculum. Understanding this profound reality shifts the parent's role from that of a controller to that of a facilitator, from an owner to a temporary guardian of something infinitely precious that ultimately belongs to the divine. This perspective requires parents to cultivate what Yogananda called divine discrimination, the ability to distinguish between the soul's true needs and the ego's demands. A parent operating from attachment might push their child toward a particular career because it reflects well on the family or provides financial security, even if that path conflicts with the child's deeper calling. A parent practicing detached love, however, would support the child in discovering and following their authentic dharma, even if it challenges the parent's personal preferences or societal expectations. The cultivation of detached love begins with the parent's own spiritual development. Yogananda emphasized that we cannot give what we do not possess. A parent who has not learned to love themselves with detachment, accepting their own flaws while working toward improvement, holding their own dreams lightly while pursuing them with dedication, cannot model this balanced approach for their children. The work of conscious parenting, therefore, becomes inseparable from the work of self-realization. This inner work involves examining the deep-seated fears that drive attachment. Fear of loss, fear of judgment from others, fear that our children will make mistakes, fear that they will not achieve happiness or success as we define it. These anxieties create the emotional charge that transforms natural love into possessive attachment. Yogananda taught that these fears, while understandable, are ultimately based on spiritual ignorance. They arise from identifying too strongly with the temporary roles of parent and child, forgetting the eternal nature of the souls involved. The practice of detached love requires parents to develop what might be called spiritual courage, the willingness to allow their children to experience the consequences of their choices, to face challenges that will promote growth, and to find their own relationship with the divine. This does not mean abandoning guidance or failing to provide appropriate boundaries, especially for younger children who need structure and protection. Rather, it means offering guidance from a place of wisdom rather than anxiety, and establishing boundaries that serve the child's highest good rather than the parent's need for control. One of the most challenging aspects of this teaching involves learning to hold outcomes lightly. Parents naturally want their children to be happy, successful, and safe. These desires are not wrong, but when they become attachments, when the parent's own sense of worth and peace depends upon the child's achievements or circumstances, they create suffering for both parent and child. The child feels the weight of the parent's expectations and may either rebel against them or become overly dependent upon external validation. The parent experiences anxiety whenever the child faces difficulties or makes choices that don't align with parental hopes. Yogananda's approach suggests a different way. Parents can hold their highest vision for their children while simultaneously surrendering the results to divine will. This surrender is not passive resignation, but rather an active trust in the wisdom of the universe and the strength of the child's own soul. It allows parents to do their best in providing love, guidance, and support while recognizing that their children's ultimate happiness and spiritual growth depend upon factors beyond parental control. The practical application of these principles varies according to the child's age and circumstances, but certain elements remain constant. Communication becomes more honest and less manipulative when parents are not attached to specific outcomes. Instead of using guilt, fear, or bribery to influence their children's behavior, detached parents can speak truthfully about consequences, share their own experiences without insisting that their children follow the same path, and offer support without creating dependency. Discipline, too, transforms under this approach. Rather than punishing children to satisfy parental frustration or to maintain control, discipline becomes a tool for teaching natural consequences and helping children develop self-regulation. The parent's emotional state remains more stable because their sense of success is not tied to their child's immediate compliance or achievement. This stability creates a safer environment for the child to explore, make mistakes, and learn. The teaching of detached love also addresses the common parental tendency to live vicariously through children's accomplishments. When parents have not fulfilled their own dreams or have not found meaning in their own lives, they may unconsciously pressure their children to achieve what they could not. This creates an enormous burden for the child, who must carry not only their own aspirations but also their parents' unfulfilled desires. Detached love requires parents to take responsibility for their own happiness and fulfillment, freeing their children to pursue their authentic paths. Perhaps most importantly, this approach recognizes that the ultimate goal of parenting is not to create children who will always be safe, successful, or even happy in conventional terms. The highest goal is to help children develop the inner resources they need to navigate life's challenges with wisdom, compassion, and spiritual strength. This requires allowing them to face age-appropriate difficulties, to experience both success and failure, and to develop their own relationship with the divine source of guidance that exists within them. The practice of detached love extends beyond the immediate parent-child relationship to encompass the entire family system. It influences how parents relate to their children's friends, romantic partners, and eventually their own grandchildren. It affects decisions about education, career guidance, and even practical matters like financial support. In each case, the question becomes not what do I want for my child, but what serves my child's highest spiritual good. This transformation in perspective often reveals how much of what passes for parental love is actually fear-based attachment. The parent who cannot sleep when their adult child is going through a difficult divorce, the mother who feels personally rejected when her daughter chooses a different religion, the father who becomes depressed when his son chooses a career he considers beneath the family's status, these reactions, while understandable, indicate attachment rather than pure love. Yogananda's teaching suggests that true love for our children expresses itself as an unshakable faith in their divine nature and their capacity to learn and grow from whatever experiences life brings them. This faith does not prevent us from offering help when appropriate, but it does prevent us from interfering with the soul lessons our children have come to learn. It allows us to be present for them without being possessive of them. The development of this detached love is itself a spiritual practice that can accelerate the parent's own growth toward God realization. Every moment of choosing trust over fear, every instance of offering guidance without attachment to whether it is followed, every experience of loving without possessing becomes an opportunity to transcend the ego's limitations and align with divine love. As parents cultivate this approach, they often discover that their relationships with their children become deeper and more authentic. Children sense when they are loved for who they are rather than for how well they fulfill their parents' expectations. They feel safer to share their true thoughts and feelings when they know they will not be judged or manipulated. The relationship becomes less about control and more about genuine connection. This teaching ultimately points toward the recognition that all love, to be truly love, must be free. Love that seeks to possess, control, or limit the beloved is not love but attachment disguised as love. The highest love trusts, supports, and celebrates the beloved's journey toward their own highest potential, even when that journey leads in unexpected directions. In embracing detached love as the highest form of parental love, we align ourselves with the divine's own love for us, unconditional, supportive, and ultimately liberating. We become channels for the same love that allows each soul the freedom to choose its own path back to God, while providing the guidance and support needed for that sacred journey. This is perhaps the greatest gift we can offer our children, the experience of being loved with the same freedom and trust with which the divine loves us all.